I know what you're thinking. And you'd be right. However, this isn't about that. This is about me uploading an interview I did with a guy who created one of my favorite cartoons of all time. And I kind of just left that on a broken hard drive for several years because I interviewed him during COVID. Whoops. So, but I finally got it back. And also, life has been changing. So, I wasn't comfortable anymore uploading it. But now it's like, no. You had the privilege to talk to this man. Now have the fucking balls to put it online. So, that's what I'm doing. Because tomorrow, no, today, I'm going to Iceland. Tomorrow I land in Iceland. So, I give you an uncut interview of a very terrified me talking to this old man. And you can tell how terrified I am.
Sorry I'm late. My kid. No going back now. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, hello there. How are you today, Rick?
I'm good. Are we audio, video, what?
We can do one or the other. It's up to you.
No, it's up to
Um,
you. It's your interview.
okay, cool beans. Well, in that case, I'll hold on. My antivirus is mad at me. Okay, sorry. Sorry, I'm a bit late. My child needed my attention. Um,
What do you have?
what do I have?
Yeah, a little boy, little
Oh,
girl,
I have a
what?
little boy. I'm sorry. My camera isn't working.
I was gonna say didn't think so. I think
It's
mine
not
is, but
working. I
that's all
don't
right.
understand.
I live most of my life in audio anyhow, so
Me too. I do a lot of Discord talks and everything, so.
I see.
But
So who are you,
I am, well, Callie, and I'm a big
Haley?
fan of, movies and TV shows, and Biker Mice was one of my favorite TV shows growing up.
I
And
see. And where do you live?
I live in Wisconsin,
What part?
around the Eau Claire area.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
It's pretty quiet around here. Nice little rural community. Don't got much going on. Whatnots.
I see. Well, I live in New York City, so it's a little different.
Yeah, I heard New York's pretty crazy. I'm not a big city folk kind of person.
I understand. Are you from Wisconsin originally?
Yep, I grew up in the hometown of Ashley Furniture,
Oh
Arcadia.
my.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
all that
Okay.
fun stuff. And then moved around a bit, but you know, met my husband when we were like 16.
My goodness. And
Yes.
what does he do?
He does farm work for one of his old bosses
Oh,
from back when he was a teenager. He actually used to work at Ashley.
wow.
Um, and then, we got married. He went back to Mexico to do all the paperwork and all that stuff, came back, and then his friend was all like, "Can you help me out on my
Is
farm?"
he is he from Mexico?
Yeah, he's from
What part?
Mexico. Guanajuato, over by San Miguel.
I know it well.
Oh, yeah.
Guanajuato is one of my favorite places on the planet.
Yeah, he's always talking about it, and he's always showing me pictures of San Miguel, and he wants
You've
to
never
get.
been there?
No, we've never
Ah.
had a chance to go down there.
Oh, Guanajuato is amazing.
Yeah, he says that's where all the white Americans go to retire.
Well, actually, they go to two places. They go to San Miguel,
Yeah.
and they also go to a place in another part of the country called Ajijic. And I had a home in Ajijic for many years.
Oh my. Yeah, he's pretty Americanized because he's been here since like he was a kid. So,
Right.
um, but he calls his family like every single member like every day. So,
But I'll tell you what, Guanajuato is particularly special. You really should go there.
oh yeah, we plan on going down there in a couple years, actually.
It's probably my favorite. I couldn't live there because my Spanish isn't good enough, and there's really no English there. But I would go visit there all the time
Mm.
because it's just the nicest place in Mexico.
Oh yeah, he's always going on about Guanajuato, San Miguel. He grew up in a small community out in the country, so he's a country boy.
That's cool.
Yeah, home raised. He has 10 brothers and sisters, and
They still there?
yeah, most of them are still in Mexico, but he's got a couple of brothers up here.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and we
All right.
have
So
one son.
okay,
So,
you want to? Okay. How old's your son?
he is 10. He just turned 10 in May.
Nice.
And yeah, don't get him started on American history because my God, all the other kids are into superheroes and all that. He's all about history and machines and
He's way better off for it. Believe me.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not a big superhero fanatic either, so I'm more of a I don't know. I don't know what you I'm an aspiring writer myself.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I've done them all. I did the stuff I did. I ran Marvel for many years, so I've been superheroed out.
Oh yeah, I fell off the wagon after Iron Man 3. I was like, I think I'm good now.
Yeah, that one wasn't very good, was it?
God, I went and saw it in theaters and I was like, yep, that was a movie.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, I have to agree.
yeah, saw Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 and then I saw Infinity War just for the Spider-Man meme, if I'm going to be
Right.
honest. So,
See now it was interesting with Guardians of the Galaxy. I was long gone from Marvel by then, but when I read they were going to do that, I called the guy who produces all the Marvel films, and I told him, I said, "You jumped the shark." I said, "This is not going to work." He said, "Yeah, it is," and obviously he was right.
yeah, I enjoyed it. I love Chris Pratt. It's like the only superhero movie my kid would watch because he likes Chris Pratt. So
Right.
yeah, but he's more of an action kind of kid, or historical documentary. He could probably tell you everything about World War II and World War One and
Cool.
all that. Yeah,
Very good.
yeah.
All right, so we better do this because I do have to go
Yes,
somewhere.
yes.
Are you recording this, or what are you doing with it?
I'm recording because I've tried some practice streams, but my internet is about 6 megabytes per second.
Oh, I
So
see.
yeah, streaming wouldn't work. So,
Got it.
but
All
yeah,
right,
but
well, let's go.
all
Go
right.
for it.
So let's start out with introductions. Tell us a bit about yourself, Rick.
Oh, I was born in a log cabin in Youngstown, Ohio. No, I actually am from Youngstown, Ohio.
Ooh.
That's where I come from. Went to undergraduate at The Ohio State University. Became a lawyer at Wayne State University in Detroit, Michigan, and started life as a lawyer. Became a writer, and you know the rest.
Yeah, because, yeah, the next question was going to be what brought you into cartoons? I mean, going from being a lawyer to, well,
Well, it
creating
was
a cartoon.
interesting. I was representing a lot of people who were in that business as a lawyer. I had a lot of writer clients and a lot of actor clients, and I thought I could do it as well as they could.
Ooh.
So I did, and it worked. That's
Uh,
basically what happened. The legend behind biker mice. And that was really my first one. I was I was at a Jewish deli in the Valley in Los Angeles on a Sunday morning with my wife and some friends, and all of a sudden a biker gang comes
Ooh.
riding up, and I'm like, "What's a biker gang doing at a Jewish deli?" And they took off their helmets, and they were clearly, yuppies. They were young doctors and lawyers, and I thought, well, that's interesting. So the next day, I called a friend of mine over at Mattel Toys, and I said, "What was the last good motorcycle toy?" And he says, "I'll call you back." Calls me back the next day, says it was Evel Knievel's stunt cycle. I said, "How did it do?" He said, "Really, really well." And I thought, well, that makes sense. Little boys like motorcycles. So I set out to come up with a character base that was based around motorcycles. And that's how you get to biker mice.
Oh yeah, I had a few Evil Knievel toys myself.
All right.
Yeah, he was a big thing even in my day.
He
Um,
was.
yeah, so then I guess it's on to the next question. Like, we had toads, sharks, turtles, all that. So you went with mice, and not just mutant mice, but Martian mice from Mars, one of my favorite
Right.
planets. So, what made you decide
Yeah,
to go
that
with
was.
alien mice?
Well, they couldn't be green for starters because of the turtles. The sharks actually were in response to the biker mice.
Oh,
The guy who came up with street sharks he had a small toy company, and he was trying to convince me to give him the license on biker mice. And when I wouldn't do that, he came up with street sharks. So that's how that happened. And I'll tell you what, my friends who created Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles used to have some questions about me in that regard too. I used to just tell them stop being jealous. But yeah, I wanted to do something like that. I knew they couldn't be green, and I knew they had to be bikers. And I was literally out on my boat in the middle of Lake Arrowhead at midnight on a Saturday night, and I won't tell you what I was doing.
okay.
But but drugs do pay, and I came up with the title Biker Mice, and then Biker Mice from Mars. That's where it was born.
That's amazing. How involved with the production of the show were you a part of? Like, just the first few episodes, or were you there like the whole ride?
I know I was there for the whole ride. I had a fortunate break that took place. As how do I explain this? The Marvel Animation Studio at that time was under the direction of another old friend of mine. I had been in the film and television business a long time, mostly as a lawyer. But he was kind of running that, and he at one point asked me if I wanted to come in and run it. And I said, well, that's a possibility. I actually had a couple of TV shows on the early days of the Fox News at that time. So it wasn't like I was overly anxious, but I could see the possibilities. And I said, you make a fair deal with me on Biker Mice, which I'll bring with me. And yeah, we can make that happen. Well, I made an extremely fair deal for myself. So I ended up being both the president of the studio and the executive producer of the key project in the studio, which is a good position to be in. But yeah, you're certainly with it the whole time.
Nice. That's great. Yeah, I like when a creator can stick with what they create.
I,
It's really sad when they try to when other people come in and things sometimes work out and sometimes they don't.
well, that's it. Creativity by committee has never been the best formula for
Yeah.
getting things done.
Star
Now,
Wars.
I will tell you this though. You need to be able to let go. I will tell you that Biker Mice, just talking about that, became way better than it would have been if it had just been me, because I can't draw. I
Yeah.
can write, but I can't draw. I had no choice but to bring other artists into the mix. And it's a good thing I did, because it became a much better property because of it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I feel you there. I can't draw either, but I've been critiqued by professional writers. They say, "Hey, you should publish something." I'm like, yeah, sure, probably." But let me see what's next. When it came to voice actors and settling on who you wanted to play each character, was that like a huge deal, or was it just like maybe first come first serve
Oh
ish?
no, it's always a huge deal, and it's a huge deal on a couple of accounts.
Yeah.
For starters, you obviously want to try out people and get the voice who you think best fits the character, but then you want to make sure that as a cast together that it's going to be a good experience. I'll give you an example. The fellow who played Throttle, um,
Mm-hmm.
Rob Paulson, who
Yeah.
is, without question, if you're a fan, you know who Rob is.
Mm-hmm.
Rob, I used to argue with Rob after almost every recording, trying to force him to take a writer's credit, because his ad libs were so good and so much better than anything I was writing, that I would try him to him to take a credit. He deserved it, and he would never take it. He thought it would not be good for what he does for a living. But the key of having him and Ian Ziering and why did I just forget his name? Oh my gosh. It'll come right back to me. The gentleman who played Moto, their chemistry was so good together that, again, it made a huge difference in how the show worked. They were just really good and really funny. And then you want to create an environment for them where everybody's having a good time. You may have realized that we used a lot of the cast of 90210 in Biker Mice, and that wasn't an accident. It began with Ian. 90210 was very popular at that time, and so we had Ian as a regular. Then we brought Luke Perry in, and it would turn into a situation where we would have everybody but Shannon Doherty, because we would spend the first part of the sessions with them sharing all the stories of what Shannon did that week on the set, and it would get everybody laughing, and it would just make the recording sessions that much better.
Nice. So yeah, that's great because when a cast can get together and actually be able to work off one another, that really
Oh, it
makes
was
a
great.
show. I mean,
This was a close cast. We had all kinds of interesting people in it. People who would go on to do some incredible things, and everybody got along, and everybody enjoyed their character, and we all had a good time.
yeah.
I got outtake reels you wouldn't believe.
Oh, I'd love to hear those. I gotta say, Throttle's probably my favorite character and my favorite voice. Like,
Well, see, now Throttle was modeled after me.
was he now? Because
Yeah.
I looked you up, and
If you go
apparently
to if you
you
go to
raised.
Germany, they call Throttle Rick, because
Ooh.
Throttle doesn't mean anything in Germany.
Ah, yeah, because I thought something might be up because I did look you up, and you did do a bit of sprint car races apparently.
No, that's another Rick
Is
Unger.
that another Rick? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I know who he is, but no, I'm not. I'm not. I mean, Throttle's personality is really based on Clint Eastwood, but no, but that was the one that I always identified with.
All right, cool beans. Yeah, and he's the cutest too, by the way. um,
Well, that must be it.
yeah, I'm a big fan of mice. I even got my
Huh?
little golden mouse necklace on that would have shown up if my camera decided to work. But
Oh well.
yeah,
Oh well.
and I also owned a lot of rats in my day.
Is that true?
Yes, that I've owned and raised over 30 rats. But and I
See,
would,
I've always been nice to rats because I feel like I owe them.
yeah, I love rats. They're like little tiny dogs. Um, can't have them now because we live in an apartment and they're considered vermin. So,
Yeah, I'm sure.
yeah, but we got a dog, a cat, a lizard, and 2 fish, so I think we got enough pets.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyways, on to the next one is like, did you mean for Chicago or Earth in general to come off as dystopic? Because it felt that way. Because I was gonna bring up the pits.
It was less dystopic and more a particular style.
Yeah.
I think that's the most honest answer. I totally understand how you would take it as dystopic. I do. I get it.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you that we really set out with that in mind.
Yeah, because the pits is a really interesting place within
Well,
this
see, now
Chicago.
The
Yeah.
Pits is the special episode because it's all Tom Tataranowitz. That entire episode. In fact, the character in the Pits is him.
Oh, really?
He drew himself. That's right. I
He's
mean,
a scary man.
he can be. He is a funny-looking guy. Look, nobody had more influence into Biker Mice than Tom T. He really did, and I gave him as much latitude as he wanted because he understood the series as well as I understood the series, and he brought an enormous amount to it. And that episode, The Pits, was really Tom's thing. That was his episode, and he put himself right in it.
Yeah, I love the idea of the pits. Like, just this. It kind of reminded me of Mad Max in a way.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
my favorite franchise of all time. But
I think that's what was in his mind.
yeah. So like, and then I was gonna ask like, because in the sequel series you have villains that are cats, but why fish people in the first series? Like,
Don't know.
Don't know?
It just sort of came into our heads that way. And the only reason it was cats in the second series, which I've never have been so sure that was a good idea,
Yeah.
but it just seemed like we wanted to do something different, and that seemed to be a a natural progression. I never loved the second series as much as the first one. The whole, I don't know, it worked. It worked. And I love the villain in the first one,
Oh,
which people are just starting to now figure out that we were prescient because Lawrence Lactavius Limburger is an amalgam of Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump.
ooh, yeah, like I can see that. Like the whole corporatism thing in the show was kind of
Yeah.
interesting because
And their look.
yeah, because I was
And
gonna
we, we,
ask.
we actually went straight after him in the second series. The bad guy's called Ronaldo Rump.
Yeah, I noticed that, and I
I have
was
never liked Donald Trump.
yeah, so I was gonna ask he was an inspiration for Ronaldo Rump. So like, are you reminded of that character now more than ever due to Trump's presidency?
I don't know how I saw it coming because I can tell you when we were picking on Donald Trump back then, it never occurred to us that he'd be president.
I don't think that ever occurred to
No,
anybody. Because that's who
that's just
knew?
crazy. Just too crazy.
Vote Kanye, guys. Vote Kanye West. I
God.
guess. Yeah, that's a new meme. So, was it your idea or Tom's idea to bring back the show in 2006?
It was a toy company's idea,
Oh,
actually. It was a company in Italy that had made a lot of money on the original Biker Mice toys, and through some contacts that I knew in London, they had gotten in touch and said, "Do you want to do the series again?" To which I said, in fact, I was living in Mexico at that time. I said, "I'll do it again if you're going to pay for it." And they said, "We'll pay for it." So we did it again.
nice. Can I give you an honest opinion?
It sucked.
Okay, besides that,
That's mine. I'll tell you some of the reasons why, but go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I didn't catch all of the episodes, but I caught a few, and I really didn't like so much their character redesigns.
Right.
Like I
I
didn't
didn't.
I didn't mind making like Vinny smaller and like less muscular than the other ones, but their faces seemed off to me.
I'll tell you what happened
Hmm.
with that series. It
Okay.
was it was a problem right from the start. When we did the first series, we did it with a company doing the animation over in the Philippines, and they had some money in it. So, and they did just fine. But by the time we had gotten to the second series, their studio was in total disrepair. There was just no way I was ever going to use them. Well, they seemed to think that they had a right to do it through the contract in the first one. I very much disagreed. I'm a lawyer. I can read the contract, but they threatened to cause a lot of trouble. And the people in London who were putting this together knuckled under to them, which I said, "You will be sorry," because they don't really have a studio. And they didn't. So they were taking these episodes and farming them out to places like North Korea. And so the animation was absolute rubbish. So a lot of the problems that you see with the characters were less about design and more about really, really inconsistent, poor animation.
Yeah.
The entire second series was a horrible experience.
Oh, that's really sad to hear.
It happens.
Yeah, 'cause there's like the heavy war theme. I thought that was really interesting to put into a kids show.
Yeah.
And
And that
so,
was that was actually Tom T. That was his approach, his idea.
yeah, I'm not afraid of scaring kids and whatnots, So
Right.
so like incorporating that into a kid show with quick quips and witty one-liners, like I don't know what inspired like is it because Mars is like a desolate planet that you were all like,
No, it's just that that was the original title. If it had been Biker Mice from Pluto, it might have been a different planet.
oh God, I heard a funny one, Scooter Sloss from Saturn. That
You
was
know, a lot of this stuff is less thought out and planned than you might think.
yeah. Sometimes you just so would you say that like you were kind of just making it up as you went with the
Well,
show?
you're always making it up as you go. But Biker Mice had the original '65 had a tone to it that everybody just understood. All of us who were involved in making it, we just got it for some reason right from the outset. So it was never hard to stay close to the tone of that show. We knew that we wanted it to be wise ass funny.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that we wanted it to play on two levels. We wanted it to turn out to be We wanted there to be jokes that parents would get if they happened to be watching, and we wanted there to be jokes that a kid would get. So if you looked at money in the original Biker Mice, if you looked at a dollar bill, you saw Richard Nixon's picture on it. That was a joke that a parent would get, and that would mean nothing to a kid. And then we had the jokes for the kids. So that was always the just the tone and the tenor of it, and it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, like I had a lot of fun when I rewatched it now as an adult. I still had a lot of fun with it. Like especially when they go into Shakespearean plays and Throttle's in a
Right.
kilt. And
Right.
I was like, this is great. This is great. Throttle in a kilt. I'm dead. I'm dead now. it, it's amazing. And so when it comes to like the corporation in the show, like did you mean for it to come off as an anti-corporate show, or is it just easy to pick on corporations? Like,
Oh, it's just easy to pick on
yeah, that's what I thought.
corporations.
Yeah.
I'm
um,
still picking on corporations.
we all are. So like one of a more serious question was how messed up the Plutarchians' plight was that they felt it necessary for their own species to survive by basically annihilating another, and is there any kind of like sympatheticness to what happened to the Plutarchians?
I never gave it a moment's thought.
Okay, that's fine. Because people these days
It was
they
it
want
was a cartoon. Come
yeah.
on.
All right, and then there was a lot of jokes in the cartoon about like Carbuncle being androgynous. Like, was that
Yes.
like an inside joke before it was in the show, or?
No, I just thought that made a funny character, to tell you the truth. There was no such person that we believed to be androgynous. That character did get me in trouble, though.
Oh no, why?
There was a phrase that I used, um, that Limburger used to call Carbuncle. What was it? Shoot, malignant to something. I can't remember what it was, but whatever it was, it turns out it's actually a disease.
Oh.
And a woman in Boston saw it and hit the ceiling. My kid is in a home with kids that have that disease, and how dare you make fun of it on a TV show? And they were going to pull it off the air.
Oh
So
no.
I had to give a lot of money to this facility and do all sorts of things. So yeah, that got us in trouble sometimes. And then we got in trouble for calling, they would always call somebody a bad mamma jammer, right?
Yeah.
And some woman who owns a town in Mississippi figured out that mamma jammer actually means motherfucker.
Oh.
And she started up a whole big thing. There was always that kind of a problem. Then we got sued by the Italian Gorgonzola cheese board.
Oh my god.
We did, because we had two monsters in one episode. One was called Gorgonzola and one was called something else, and they got mad and they sued us. So, that's how you know you're doing well, when you start getting sued and hassled by people for
Good thing
things
you
you
were a
didn't
lawyer,
intend.
huh?
Yeah.
Oh my, that's a fun story right there, getting sued by a cheese company.
A cheese board. It was the nation's board, board of cheese in Italy.
Oh, of all the things, bro.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Oh god, so is there any backstory you can share on any of the characters or the world that isn't present in the shows?
Well, the characters were modeled after three characters that everybody knew so well. The Moto character was modeled after Haas Cartwright in Bonanza, Dan Blocker.
Ooh.
The Throttle character was modeled after James Dean. I'm sorry, after Clint Eastwood, and Vinny was modeled after James Dean.
Ooh. Yeah, I've heard of James Dean. I think he
Yeah,
died.
you're too young. Yes, he did. He died in a car crash.
Oh yeah, that's terrible. So
He was
like,
a very big, very cool movie star.
yeah, I'm sure my mom knows him. I have some
Yeah.
other friends who were all like, "Oh no," and I was like, "James Dean, isn't that like?" And they're like, "No, not that one." And I was like, oh, "Okay."
They were just big. There were characteristics like, you probably never saw Bonanza.
No.
It was a very popular Western back in the day, and the Haas character was this big guy who was incredibly tough, but was just all mush inside. He's just the sweetest guy in the world. So that was really at the heart of Moto. So yeah, that's where all their, you could look at Throttle and the way we always posed him. It was like, hey, you want to make my day? He was Clint Eastwood.
Oh yeah, like I loved his voice. It's a shame you didn't do like a Wild West episode.
So yeah, we probably should have.
You've done everything
Voice
else.
that voice is my friend Ralph Paulson.
Oh, I love that voice. I'm glad he came back for the 2006.
I wouldn't have done it without them.
Yeah, I was gonna be upset if he didn't. So yeah, the 2006 series I thought was a dream when it came out because I don't know, early morning advertisements. I thought maybe I dreamed the whole thing until
No,
until I saw an
that,
episode, saw they
and
changed the design and that Throttle's bike was now green and
yeah, yeah. Well, toy companies, they want
yeah,
different toys.
yeah, and then they made the bikes in the show CGI,
Yeah.
and that it in all honesty, it kind of looked terrible.
Yeah, it was good ideas that didn't work for a lot of those reasons. It happens.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of animated series. Some of them turn out much better than you expect. Some of them turn out far worse than you expect. It's just kind of the way it is.
Okay, so now in the last two episodes, it's revealed how the biker mice got their injuries. Now, was that planned? Because in some prior episodes, like there was one where Moto went to meet Rimfire when he was little, and he still had the
Yeah,
Robo Arm. But in the last episode, he didn't get the Robo Arm until Rimfire was 16. So
that's
like,
true. It was actually basically, how they got their injuries and became what they were in the original Bible that I wrote, which lays it out, right?
you have a biker mouse
So
Bible?
I don't know if I even have one anymore, but yes, there's always a Bible to any series I do. I
Ooh.
basically write it first. You kind of have to do that because you use other writers, and the only way the writers can know that story is if you give them the Bible to read. You
Yeah.
see?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that was laid out. If I remember it correctly, and I'm not sure I do, but I think the reason we did the last two episodes of the 65, we didn't know yet if we were going to be making more, and we had already planned to make that pivot back to Mars.
Yeah, because those last two episodes, they looked like they had a bit more spark in the animation in some scenes.
Now, sometimes that's just lucky,
Yeah,
The
because
animators did a better job.
yeah, I just remember a little camera pan while Throttle's throwing a rock up at the air, and just his hand just moving ever so slightly. I was like, oh my god, that's such good animation. Oh my god.
Well, it could have been good directing. I mean, I had nothing to do with that, I'll tell you that. It could
Yeah.
have been good directing, it could have been good animation, good storyboarding, who knows?
Yeah, sometimes they app bump the animation when it's the end of a series,
Yeah,
just to give it a one last bit of fire.
usually it's more to make sure they get the work back next year.
Yeah, well, when they animated Grease Pit in the last episode, it almost looked Disney-ish, the way he was moving
Yeah.
around and stuff. So, but yeah, so that was fun. Like, but I remember as a kid watching that episode and Throttle's eyes bleeding, and that kind of stuck in my head all my life, to the point where I wasn't sure if it was real anymore until I
I don't
saw
even
the episode recently. And
I
there's
don't even remember that episode.
yeah, like they get blown up and he's got blood running down his cheeks as he covers his eyes. I was
Ah.
like, oh my god, his eyes are bleeding. But
Oh,
yet,
you know what? I do remember that. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, and but then you got Moto over here with a missing arm and no blood, so
Right.
for the kids.
For the kids.
Yeah, and so leading into that, from that is Throttle literally blind or like how's his eyes work or
No, he's not blind.
okay because
He's not blind. He wears sunglasses because they're cool and because he does have some problems from what happened to him.
okay, yeah, so like corrective lenses you would say.
Never thought about it.
He's got corrective sunglasses.
Maybe.
Yeah, and then last two questions. There's a lot of push for inclusivity in like media these days, especially for like LGBTQ people. And would you say that any of your characters within the show could be a member of this community? Like,
I never thought about it, to be perfectly honest with you. No, I mean, Charlie was certainly a part of the show because we had already reached a stage where you needed to have a female character. But the simple truth was, and was something nobody ever liked to say, you did that because people would give you trouble if you didn't.
Yeah.
But you never sold anywhere near as many toys of Charlie, right? As you would from the biker mice. So that was always the reality of the consideration. That said, I thought Charlie turned out to be an awesome character. I was always glad we had come up with that character. In terms of LGBTQ, I've never given it a moment's thought. I haven't been making cartoons for a really long time now, and that really hadn't become an issue
Yeah.
at the stage when I was doing it.
Yeah, like me and my friends were just like, I bet Rimfire's gay. Like,
Could be,
yeah, so,
could be.
and so then, last question is, in a world of reboots, remakes, and sequels, and rehashes and whatnots, has a reboot of Biker Mice ever crossed your mind?
Sure, we talk about it all the time. Somebody
Oh,
wants to put up the money. I don't know how involved I would be. I don't know if you know what I do now, but it's in a very different world.
I think you do a
So
radio show from what I
I
learned.
do.
Yeah.
I do. So now I'm a little more engrossed in the world of politics than I am in the world of cartoons.
Ugh,
But
yes.
yeah, if there was anything that I would ever come back for, it would probably only be biker mice.
Yeah, like I said, Biker Mice is a bit of an like a lot of things inspire me, like I write a lot of I write what's dark comedy, I guess you would say, pirates and whatnots, and
Right.
an ensemble cast of characters. Everyone's different and unique in their own way, and you got your nice people, your bad people, and all that. And a Biker Mice reboot, I'm always like, yes, yes, give me more. Only
Well,
make
we talk about it.
only
We'd be willing to do it. I think you'd find it more under Tom's direction at this stage of life, and I'm perfectly good with that. Nobody understands it as well as Tom does. So yeah, we've been talking about it recently, talking to some people who might want to finance it. So yeah, if somebody wants to put up the money, we'll make it again.
All right. Well, I have like $7 right here to put towards it. You know,
Well, that'll pay for one coffee for one person.
cause yeah, I'm all like, go darker, bit more blood, and a lot more psychological trauma for Stoker.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, we've talked about two different ways to do it. One is exactly what you just said, and the other is to make them even little kids.
Little kids.
Yeah, I prefer your idea better. I will tell you.
Yeah, like, because, I always had this, because, they're in a war-torn planet and whatnots. They probably, I mean, our titular characters might never have even seen grass in their life.
Right.
Maybe Stoker has stories of, like, a time before,
But the trick is, it's one thing to make it darker, which I'm okay with,
yeah.
as long as you can find a way to balance it with the funny.
Oh,
It's got to
trust
still be
me.
funny.
Trust me. I can be a funny bunny.
Got to be funny.
Oh, yeah, like, because the dialogue in the show is just chef's kiss to you right there. Like,
Well, thank you. Thank you
yeah,
very much.
I love the dialogue. I love everything that comes out of Limburger's mouth. Okay, I love. Just all the quick quips. And Vinny himself, like, not only is he funny, but, like, he's the kind of guy who could ding-dong ditch death itself,
Right.
He'd go up to death's door and just ding-dong ditch him. He's just,
Oh, nothing was ever going to hurt Vin, and he knew it.
yeah, like, and it seems that he's, like, he almost looks at Stoker like a father figure.
He does, as a
Yeah,
matter
and
of
so it
fact.
made me wonder if, like, maybe he wasn't orphaned as a kid or something, and maybe Stoker played a role in his life at some point.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Never dug that far back.
Oh, I
Yeah.
I think way too hard about things. I think way too deep.
Yeah, see, I never, with all the stuff I've done with cartoons and characters, I've never, I've never gotten that serious about it, I mean, even with serious characters, I did all those Marvel cartoons for all those years, and I don't know, they were just cartoon characters. I knew they weren't real.
Yeah, you're more of a in the now
Yeah, and I was
guy.
also as much about selling toys and T-shirts as I was about the characters.
Yeah, I'm sure I had a few Biker Mice toys back in the day alongside my Street Sharks
Certainly
and
hope
Ninja
so.
Turtles. Oh yeah.
If
So-
you had Street Sharks, you sure as hell better have had Biker Mice, because
Yeah.
the guy who was ripping me off.
Yeah, like that show was my jam. Them Ninja Turtles, Street Sharks, like Don't make me choose, Rick. Don't make me choose. But if I'm gonna choose,
I,
throttle. you know.
okay. I'll
Um,
tell you what, there's nothing I like hearing more. You know, I spend my time these days. I mean, I talk to presidents, right? I interview them. I do all that kind of stuff. And I still enjoy nothing more than somebody telling me how much they cared about biker mice. It's the most fun thing there is for me.
I know. I love them. The characters, the world, and just the silliness. Like you see guys get in an explosion, and as an adult, you're like, they're dead.
I will tell you, way out. See, one thing you never see in one of my cartoons ever, out of the thousands I've made of them, nobody dies.
Okay, well, I have an idea for you.
That
If
was
you,
my one rule. Nobody dies.
I have one idea for you. If you ever decide to
So,
reboot the series, Stoker sacrificing himself at the end.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I want kids to have to deal with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mufasa died. We kind of all had to deal with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, no. Disney does it in every movie they've ever made.
Yeah. They can't
Somebody
stop killing
important dies.
parents.
Yeah, it's just never been my thing. You know, I want there to be that pseudo violence, but I also want you to see that character get up after.
Yeah. Um, and one more thing, I would keep Mace a rat and not disguised as a mouse, but that's just my opinion.
Okay. All
Like,
right.
because, the mice are allied with the rats, why wouldn't there be rats hanging out with them? So, But keep
Well,
him a
yeah.
ginger, too. Keep him a
You know,
ginger rat.
if you ever saw, you know what a miquette is?
A
A
miquette?
miquette is like a model that you build,
Oh, a
right?
maquette, yeah, I know what those are.
Maquette, yeah.
Yeah.
The original maquettes that were built for biker mice. I mean, this goes back to what, 79 or something. I don't know. The original maquettes looked a whole lot more like rats than they did mice.
Mm.
They were much tougher, badder looking than the biker mice ended up looking.
Yeah, they looked a little too cutesy in the sequel series. I mean,
Yeah.
they
Well,
could
we
have
don't
been
talk
worse.
about the
Yeah,
sequel.
we don't talk about that
It's
sequel
it's
series.
stuck.
And the Russian cat.
Yeah,
The Russian
I know.
cat. Yeah.
It wasn't great. It happens.
Yeah, but
I like to remember the first 65.
yeah, but like I don't know, I would just love to explore more of like the Mars part of biker mice, like cuz
Well, I'll tell you the person you really should talk to is Tom T. You know who he is? Tom
uh
Tataranowitz?
yeah, I see him at the bottom of the screen every time I watch an episode and I can never pronounce his
Every
last
time.
name.
I know. It's just we call him Tom T. I mean, he knows so much more of that detail because he
Yeah?
came up with a lot of it. Yeah.
Well, tell him hit me up on Twitter, bro.
All
I'd
right.
love to talk
I
to
can
him.
I can make that happen.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Um
Okay.
yeah, but those are the questions I have for you. Oh, I was gonna ask one more thing. Why didn't you
Okay.
make Spitfire Rimfire's sister?
Don't know.
Okay.
Probably nobody ever thought of it.
I thought of it before I watched the sequel series. Because I was like, he's got a sister that nobody talks about. Oh, we could name her Spitfire. And then you made Spitfire Stoker's daughter, which I was going to be like, we should make Harley Stoker's daughter. But,
See, I didn't name those are all Tom T questions because I
okay.
think he named all of those characters.
Okay, so, you know, tell Tom T, hit up Casual
Yeah.
Callie on Twitter, bro.
All right, you got it.
All right. Well, thank you so much
Nice
for
talking
doing
to you.
this.
You got
Yeah.
it. It's a pleasure.
All
Say
right.
hi to your family.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Boy.